Hello there, Make Idaho Better fans and subscribers. It's time to get walked through an analysis post. I'm going to share my screen. Well, before I do that, um, maybe you're wondering why I'm so cool with my hat backwards. Well, we used to be Make Boise Better, and I haven't gotten new hats yet with the new logo, so we're backwards. All right, time to share my screen. As usual, I'm going to give you an overview of what is Make Idaho Better. Well, essentially, the whole idea behind Make Idaho Better is making it the easiest way for you to make your voice heard and make a difference on important state and local issues using data. Okay? What it is are short weekly surveys, and then we make the overall results public so everybody can learn from them, and then I publish analysis of those results to help everybody learn. The end outcome I'm hoping for is that everybody becomes better informed, understands their communities better, and it makes it easier for leaders that work with me to on research to find and implement better solutions for our state. Okay. If you want to be a part of this, I hope you do, click do your part, fill out the brief email list form here, and then you'll start getting the emails. 2 emails a week. One on Monday gives you the survey invitation, and then on Thursday you get the analysis and results. Okay, this week we surveyed about the great state of Ada. That's an expression that is used in the, across Idaho to basically talk about how Ada County has a lot of influence on like the rest of the state, and maybe they're overrepresented, or they have more power than they should have, or they just think they're more self-important and their opinions are the only ones that matter in Idaho. So this is an interesting thing that you hear periodically, and it can be kind of a divisive thing. And I was Googling it, and I didn't find a whole lot of facts on the topic, so I thought this would be a really interesting one to survey about. Pull some data, get some quantifiable analysis going, and help everybody get a sense of what are we dealing with here. So that's what we did. If you want to see the survey questions and the overall results, those are all in here. You can check those out. First, I'm going to talk about the survey, the sample's demographics. So this is important to have context to have in your mind when you're thinking about how people responded. Who are the types of people we heard from? So gender and age. These were 2 questions that I didn't ask in this survey. So whenever people subscribe to Make Boise Better or Make Idaho Better, I need to get that fixed in my head. Then I'm able to basically track who answered which way. That's really helpful because then I can use all of their previous answers for analysis. So I can bring those together. So I can essentially have all the answers like I put together like a 100-question survey, but I only had a 10-question survey. So it's easy for you to take. I don't have to keep asking you the same things over and over. I'm still able to do a really powerful analysis. However, these gray bars tell us that a really big proportion of the people that took this survey, I don't have gender information, I don't have age information. That's because we heard from a lot of new people this week. So over the last month or so, I've started making the surveys publicly available, sharing them on Facebook, for instance, and anybody can take them. That's great because it increases our participation and our signups, people that subscribe to take more surveys. But one of the downsides is that I don't have any answer history for them to pull in to do this type of an analysis. So, but I'm being transparent about that. So these big gray groups could be across any of these age groups. We're not sure. But that's okay because the most important demographic for this topic in the analysis is county. So collected which county you're in, and altogether it was about, out of the like 235-ish responses we got, about 60% are from Ada County, about 40% are from not Ada County. So you can see how that breaks down by Idaho regions here. So Panhandle, North Central, Southwest Central, Ada counties, and Central. That's that blue bar. Orange would be the other counties such as Valley County, Canyon County, and another one. So that's how we're spread out there. These districts, if you're not familiar with them, and I'm still wrapping my head around them, this is what those are. So this is what the state of Idaho departments use to kind of talk about districts of Idaho. So I'm borrowing from them. All right. So let's get this thing kicked off. So one of the first things I wanted to ask for context was, have you heard the great state of Ada expression before? Like, is this something that you've come across? That's interesting to know, to get a sense of like, how common is this? Is it a fringe thing? If you're in the know, you know it or not. But over half of the people that responded had heard of it. So 55%. Caveat that a lot of the people that took it on Facebook and saw the topic. So maybe a lot of people that hadn't heard of it before just skipped it, and the people that had heard of it clicked on it. So I won't say that across the state 55% have heard of this, but of our group of respondents, that's how it broke down. So that was actually a little higher than I thought. So I wanted to check it based on kind of location. So whether you're in Ada County or you're not in Ada County, to get a sense of, is this like a regional thing? Like, are people talking about this outside Ada County, and people inside Ada County don't really know about it, or what's the situation? Nope. From our respondents, it's about the same. People that had heard about it versus not heard about it, pretty similar. So, okay, it seems pretty widespread. Break that down even further, we can look at it by districts, and see. I was curious, like, is this more common in some areas of Idaho than others? Now, we don't have huge sample sizes for each of these districts, so we need to take these kind of exact numbers with a grain of salt. So Eastern is really high, like 70% heard of it. There's a good chance that, I can't remember how many respondents we had from Eastern. Looks like about maybe 12 or something. So if we heard from much more, who knows, maybe this could be down on 40%, like North Central or Southwest. So we won't read too much into it, but I was on the surface, it looks like districts 5, 6, and 7, 5, 6, and 7 over here. So Eastern Idaho, maybe this is more common saying over there. All right, so now we've got a sense of who's heard of it. Now I'm basically saying, do you think it's true? Do you think there's a concentration of power or influence in Ada County? And yeah, pretty resounding yes on that. It's about 60% that say yes, or yes, absolutely. So that's the overall picture, but if we break that down, what does it look like? So, okay, this is a chart showing all the orange bars are not Ada County counties, and blue is Ada County, but we can also see it by district at the same time. As you can see, Ada is the smallest bar, meaning I'm measuring here the percentage that said yes, there's a concentration of power in Ada County. So everybody besides Ada thinks that not everybody, there's much more people outside of Ada County that think there's a concentration of power in Ada County. Okay, interesting. Let's keep going. What kinds of power are we talking about? There's lots of different kinds of power, whether we're talking about tax dollars or cultural opportunities or political representation or economics, like businesses and investments and things like that. Economics was the one that got chosen the most. So all the respondents could choose all of these or none of these. It was an optional question, or just the ones that they think. So this was selected the most, about 70%. Politically was the least, which was surprising to me because I thought that was probably the most like implied uh, type of power with this saying, but that wasn't what as many people chose. So that was interesting. Okay, let's break it down again. Ada versus not Ada. The big differences here are look at what people thought about fiscally, so taxes, and politically, representation. Look at the difference between if you're in Ada County or not in Ada County. Everybody agreed on economically, but didn't agree on this fiscally and politically. So if you're not in Ada County, you kind of, all of them are pretty significant, almost the same level. But if you are in Ada County, you didn't do these ones very often. So my take on this, and I saw a lot of comments. There's comments at the bottom of this analysis post that you should check out. Really interesting stuff. But what I was gathering from a lot of Ada County people is that they feel like they bring in most of the tax revenue for the state, but they don't get as much of the resources for their infrastructure, their roads. But on the other hand, a lot of non-Ada people think that they get all the resources. So there's like a mismatch in perceptions on this, where it kind of feels like Ada County thinks that they have all the business, they're making all the money, and their money's going other places in the state, and they're not getting as much of it back. Whereas the rest of the state's like, you don't care enough about us, as much about us. Our roads need fixed too. We need more infrastructure too. Ada County gets all of it. So people are on kind of different sides on that. Interesting. Okay, so we got a sense how many people think there is a concentration of power. But how many people are like concerned? How concerned about this? So this is the overall view, and it looks like the average is somewhere around somewhat concerned, maybe not so concerned. Okay, averages are interesting to a degree, but we're going to need to segment that, right? Because overalls can be really skewed by the type of respondent. So we need to even this out and show it across the important demographics. All right. Check it out. There's a big difference. The orange group, so the not Ada County counties, kind of their biggest response was extremely concerned. And then it sloped downwards towards not as concerned. And it's more or less like the opposite for Ada County. Not very many people are extremely concerned. Most of them are not so concerned, and that slopes down towards concern. So this is kind of, you blame Ada County people if they're thinking about their own self-interest. They're thinking, well, whether there's a concentration in Ada County or not, it's better for me. I live there. I'm not complaining. So, that would make sense. If we look at it by districts, and then we calculate here the percent that said they're very or extremely concerned from each district. This is actually maybe the chart that I think is most interesting out of the whole thing. So hardly anybody from Ada County said they were concerned about a concentration of power in Ada County. We already talked about that. And then you've got some of these other districts that are seen majority almost, or majority like very concerned. But then you have these two here, Central and Southwest, that are not as concerned. They're more concerned than Ada County, but they're not as concerned as these other ones. These two are the regions closest to Ada County. So Central is the same district. So this would be like Canyon County, which is neighbors. Southwest district is also nearby. So maybe this is a factor of the further out you are from Ada County, the more concerned you are, because you don't benefit as indirectly from kind of influence that Ada County has. It's harder for you to benefit from it. You might feel like it's taking from you. Okay, how does Ada County think about the rest of Idaho? So we asked two questions here. One, trying to get at how they think about Idaho. The first one is basically how in touch with the rest of Idaho are Ada County residents. How much do they care? How much are they kind of aware, trying to learn? And it looks like the average was kind of in here between, and like not so in touch. Now, to be fair, probably most counties aren't as in touch with what's going on in other counties, but I think that probably Ada County is less concerned being like in the capital as what's going on elsewhere. It's kind of an urban versus rural thing. And then this other one is kind of more direct. Like, do Ada County residents look down on the rest of Idaho? Like, do they think Ada County is better, the rest of Idaho isn't as good, don't like it as much, or it's whatever? This is really spread out. We had a big group that says, I don't know. That's good of the people that felt that way, that maybe haven't been in Ada County or not very much. And but besides that, we're really spread out again, with the average being around a moderate amount looking down. So let's dig into it a little deeper. So go figure, Ada County thinks they're more in touch with the rest of Idaho than other parts of Idaho think Ada County is in touch with what's going on with them. There's probably some bias here. I think people are typically want to think that they're more informed than they are, and that other people are less informed than they are. But nonetheless, this is interesting. And probably, maybe if we corrected for that to some degree, it would be closer together, but probably I think still different. And then looking down, people outside of Ada County thought that Ada County people looked down on the rest of Idaho quite a bit. There's a big kind of, the average for them is around here, a lot. And then for Ada County, it's a little, but the most and not at all. That's interesting to me. I grew up in Ada County. I've seen this kind of point of view a lot. So I'm wondering if this is people wanting to think that they don't look down on the rest of Idaho as much, or maybe my circles have been worse, or I don't know. But I expected some difference here, but I would have thought that more people in Ada County would have said that there's more looking down than there was reported. But interesting. Maybe I got it wrong. How well is the government doing at balancing the needs of urban and rural? So we're spread out again. Looks like the average is kind of between no and neither yes nor no. So somewhere around slightly disappointed in the way government balances urban versus rural needs. Let's slice it again. Ada versus not Ada. Ada County people were more likely to say that the government's doing a good job. Not Ada County people are more likely to say that they're not doing a good job at balancing this stuff. Again, Ada maybe benefits, or there's more like potentially amenities in where they are, more big city opportunities. So the people that are in Ada County that are frustrated might be frustrated, not that they're not getting opportunities, but they're just wishing they had more opportunities or more resources. But it looks like people outside Ada County are more dissatisfied. So that's all for charts and graphs, quantitative analysis. Now it's time for qualitative, and I'm not going to go into all of these, but I would really encourage anybody that is watching this or reading it to check these out. So these are what I basically handpicked a lot of comments, open-ended comments at the end of the survey that I thought were really interesting. And I always learn so much from these comments, and they make me think about things that I'd never thought of before. And then, so I would highly recommend checking them out. You'll learn a lot. And I've bolded key phrases to help you kind of skim it, to see like what's each comment's about, what you kind of want to dig into. Some of them are short, some of them are long. This one's really long. Bolded a lot of different things in there if you want to skip around. So these are answers to what gets too much attention about this topic. Excuse me. This is what doesn't get enough attention. Answers to that. So check it out. Thanks for watching or reading. If you haven't signed up yet for Make Idaho Better, please do so. That's the thing that's going to make the impact of this site and this research more positive, more influential, is if we hear from more people and have more views represented. So thanks a lot. Stay tuned for next week.